Have you ever wondered what could happen if your smart home devices fell into the wrong hands? Today, we are living in an era where our homes are becoming smarter and more connected. From smart TVs and refrigerators to home security systems and thermostats, these devices, also known as the Internet of Things or IoT, have made our lives incredibly convenient. But what many of us don't realize is that these devices could potentially pose a risk to our security and privacy. Let's take a closer look at the types of data these devices collect and transmit. Your smart TV, for instance, not only streams your favorite shows, but also collects data about your viewing habits. And it's not just about what you're watching. Some smart TVs come equipped with microphones and cameras recording your conversations and movements. Your smart refrigerator, it tracks what food you buy and when you eat. It might seem innocuous, but imagine that information falling into the hands of an insurance company. They could potentially use it to adjust your health insurance premiums. And let's not forget about your home security systems. These devices monitor your home, detect movement, and even control door locks. If compromised, a cybercriminal could potentially gain access to your home, violate your privacy, or even commit theft. Now consider your smart thermostats. These devices learn your daily routine, know when you're home and when you're not. In the wrong hands, this information could be used for malicious purposes such as burglary. The data collected by these devices is often transmitted over the internet, making it a potential target for hackers. Once hacked, these devices can be used to gain access to your personal information, invade your privacy, or even launch cyber attacks on other networks. As we see, the convenience of IoT comes with a hidden cost: our security and privacy. But don't worry, in the upcoming scenes we'll explore how to understand these risks and the best practices to protect your connected devices. So, stay tuned. Now that we've established the potential threats, it's time to delve deeper into the specific risks associated with IoT devices. In the vast, interconnected web of the Internet of Things, security risks abound. These risks can have a profound impact, ranging from simple inconveniences to severe real-world consequences. Let's dissect some of these threats to better understand them. One of the most prevalent risks is data breaches. IoT devices, from your smart fridge to your fitness tracker, collect and transmit a wealth of data. This data, if intercepted or misused, can lead to identity theft, financial loss, and privacy violations. Imagine a scenario where your smart TV's data is breached, revealing your watching habits or even worse, your personal conversations. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? Next, we have unauthorized access. IoT devices are often remotely controlled via the internet, which can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it allows for convenience and flexibility. On the other hand, it opens up a potential gateway for cybercriminals to gain control of your devices. Think about the implications of an outsider gaining control of your home security system or your car's smart features. The potential for harm is significant. Lastly, we must consider device tampering. A physically accessible IoT device can be tampered with either to alter its functionality, disable it, or to install malicious software. Imagine a smart lock on your front door being tampered with, leaving your home vulnerable to intrusion. These risks aren't just theoretical, they are real, and they are happening now. Every day, hackers are developing new methods to exploit IoT devices, and the consequences can be devastating. From identity theft and financial loss, to safety risks and privacy violations, the impact of these threats can be far-reaching. But don't let this discourage you. Just as there are risks, there are also ways to mitigate them. Knowledge is power, and understanding these threats is the first step. The key is to stay informed, vigilant, and proactive. Understanding these risks is the first step towards mitigating them. So, how can we protect our devices and data from these threats? Well, it all comes down to following some essential best practices for IoT security. First off, let's talk about passwords. You've probably heard it a million times, but it's worth repeating. Strong, unique passwords are the first line of defense. It's not enough to just change password 123 to password 124. We're talking about creating a password that's a jumble of letters, numbers, and symbols, and remember, no two devices should share the same password. Next, we must discuss software updates. I know they can be a pain. They take time and they often come at the most inconvenient moments. But here's the thing. Software updates aren't just about adding new features. They're about fixing security vulnerabilities. So, the next time your device prompts you for an update, don't put it off. Do it right away. Now let's talk about features. IoT devices come packed with all sorts of bells and whistles, many of which you might never use. But did you know that these unused features could be potential entry points for hackers? It's like having a back door to your home that you never lock because you never use it. So, do yourself a favor, go through your device settings and disable any features you don't use. And finally, we come to one of the most overlooked aspects of IoT security, network security. Your IoT devices are part of a network, and if that network isn't secure, then your devices aren't secure. This means using a secure Wi-Fi network, separating your IoT devices from your main network if possible, and using a good firewall. By following these practices, we can significantly reduce our exposure to IoT security risks. It's not foolproof, but it's a step in the right direction. And in the digital age, every step counts. So let's take those steps together and make our digital world a safer place. For those who want to take their security to the next level, there are advanced measures like encryption and authentication. Now these might sound like complex tech jargon, but don't worry, we're about to demystify them. Let's start with encryption. Encryption is essentially converting data into a code to prevent unauthorized access. Think of it as a secret language that only your device and your network understand. So even if a hacker manages to intercept your data, all they'll see is gibberish, making your data useless to them. Pretty neat, right? Common IoT devices such as smart speakers or security cameras often have built-in encryption features. These features scramble your data before it's sent over the network, then unscramble it at the receiving end. To activate these features, you'll usually need to go into your device's settings and enable encryption. Now, let's move on to authentication. Authentication is the process of verifying the identity of a device or user. It's like a bouncer checking IDs at the door of a club. If your ID doesn't check out, you're not getting in. There are several ways to implement authentication on your IoT devices. One common method is through the use of passwords. These should be strong, unique, and changed regularly to prevent unauthorized access. Some devices also offer two-factor authentication, which adds an extra layer of security by requiring a second form of verification, such as a text message code or fingerprint scan. Another method is digital certificates, which are electronic passports that establish a device's credentials when doing transactions over the web. These certificates are issued by a trusted third party, and they provide a means to verify a device's identity. In conclusion, encryption and authentication are two powerful tools in your IoT security toolkit. They help ensure that your data stays private and that only authorized users have access to your devices. While these measures require a bit more technical know-how, they can provide an added layer of security for your devices. Of course, protecting your devices isn't a one-and-done deal. It requires ongoing vigilance. Continuous monitoring and patch management are like the watchful eyes and busy hands that keep your IoT devices safe. Think of continuous monitoring as your personal security guard, always on the lookout for unusual activity. It involves relentlessly checking your devices for anomalies or signs of intrusion. And then there's patch management. This is the process of updating your devices with the latest software patches. These patches often contain fixes for vulnerabilities that hackers could otherwise exploit. Implementing these concepts is like scheduling regular checkups and vaccinations for your devices. Use security tools that provide continuous monitoring. Make sure to enable automatic updates or regularly check for updates manually. Remember, cybersecurity is not a destination, it's a journey. With consistent monitoring and timely updates, you can stay one step ahead of the hackers. Lastly, but perhaps most importantly, is the role of user education and awareness in IoT security. Let's face it, even the most advanced security measures can't fully protect your smart devices if you're not aware of potential threats and how to guard against them. Think about it. It's like having a state-of-the-art security system installed in your home, but leaving the front door wide open. It's critical to understand that your actions and decisions play a significant role in the security of your smart devices. So, where do you start? By learning about the risks, understanding how hackers could potentially exploit your devices, and knowing the best practices to protect against these threats. This knowledge can mean the difference between a secure smart home and one that's open to cyber attacks. To sum it up, it's not just about having the right security measures in place, it's about being a well-informed user. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to protecting your smart devices.